Hello everybody. Today we're going to do the door handle mod to this Airstream travel trailer. Okay, today what we're going to do is we're going to do the door handle mod on this Airstream door. And what we'll do is, the problem that people see is when you close this door, people always pull on the handle, and what can happen is the handle can actually pull off of the door and leave you trapped inside the Airstream. So you can see this one has a little bit of play in it already. And what we're going to do is reinforce that and prevent it from being able to get pulled off. So what we'll do is we just take off the little cap. There's 3 Phillips screws that have to be removed. Here, here, and here. All right, and then there is a little plastic spacer that we won't need. So again, this is the door handle here, and you can already see where this one is starting to shear away. This wedge is starting to shear away from being pulled on. So we're gonna reinforce this. We'll bring it back up and attach it to the trailer. Okay, so now we're back in the shop, and I'll kind of show you how the design is set up on this thing. There's a square hole inside this plate, and then this square pin, which is just made out of a pot metal type aluminum, is actually stuck through the square hole, and then it is stamped or pressed down upon, and it kind of flares out the edges of this or smashes them out over this metal plate. And what happens is those edges will start to shear off with the force of the door handle. So what we're going to do is we're going to tap this hole to receive a 1024 screw. We'll place a washer around this portion here and then bridge it with another washer. And what that'll do is that'll make the screw support this metal piece on the outside, and we won't be relying on these swedge fittings anymore. So let's go over what you'll need to do the job. And then what you're looking at here is you'll need one 1-inch long 1024 machine screw. You'll need one washer with a hole in it that's large enough to fit over the square pin of the handle. You'll need another fender washer that has a smaller hole in it for the bolt to go through. You'll need a 1024 tap. And I have a tap handle here I'll use, but you can actually use this tap. You could put a crescent wrench or whatever you wanted to over this square end and turn it if you didn't have a tap handle. But we'll use a tap handle. And then you're going to need a little bit of blue 242 thread locker from Loctite, just to keep that screw from backing out as repeated openings of the door. So we'll get started. All right, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the 1024 tap and we're going to tap this hole. The factory hole, the hole that's there, is a good size for this tap, so you don't have to do any drilling or anything like that with it, and it will be deep enough to accept the 1-inch machine screw. So what you'll do is you just kind of center it up, and then we're just going to kind of get it started. You got to put a light pressure on it, and then once it's started, we're just going to thread the tap down inside the hole until it bottoms out. So see, we're just cutting threads. Sometimes you have to back up just a little bit to kind of relieve some of the debris and shavings. We kind of back up some there. We're getting close. And we're there. So now what we'll do is we'll back out. This is just cleaning everything up, making sure you got nice clean threads inside as we remove the tool. And you can see all the shavings coming out of there where we cut the threads in. All right. All right, so now we've removed the tap, and you can see down inside the hole that we've got threads cut inside the barrel there, or inside the hole it's threaded. All right, so now that we've got the whole thread and everything, all we have to do is assemble our pieces. So the first piece to go on is the washer. And again, you want a washer that has an inside hole large enough to fit over the square pin. And it also needs to be tall enough so that it bridges that gap and covers over on the deal, because we don't want the force to be on these swedges anymore. We want it to be applied on this outside ring of this washer. So you put the big washer on first. You take the smaller washer. We'll lay it on top right there. And then what we'll do is we'll take our 1024 machine screw, and we're going to add a little bit of blue thread locker to that. And let's see if I can get this all picked back up. All right, so now what we're going to do is take it and put it inside the hole, start it. Let me just thread it down with a screwdriver until it's good and tight. All right, and there you go. So now the force applied by the screw from the threads is being transferred to this outer ring by this washer to this washer, and it's supporting this plate here, and we're no longer relying on the swedged edges of that square shaft to hold this metal piece on. So it can't get pulled off anymore. Okay, so now all there's left to do, now that we've got it reinforced, is to reinstall the door handle on the door. We've got the plastic spacer that has to go back in place. It has a textured side. That's the facing side, the outside edge of it. And the way that goes back on is it just goes back up over the latch. To get the door handle to align, you just kind of have to wiggle it a little bit. There we go. So that went there, and then we're going to get a screw installed here. You don't want to over tighten these screws. There's not a lot of meat as far as threads are concerned for these screws, so you don't want to over tighten them when you're putting the door back together. So just careful, kind of snug them up, and then we'll firm them up once we get all three of them in. But again, just don't bear down on these guys here, because there's not a lot there for them. So that goes back on there, and then you got the little plastic cap that goes back over the end of the lock. And we're just going to check these, make sure we're tight. There, and there, and that's it. The door lock works like it's supposed to. And now we have a lot less play in that handle.